Welcome to my first official video. I'm so excited. I'm going to be sharing with you Asher's birth story, which happened 2 whole years ago already. He's going to be 2 in January. I don't know. Crazy. I put up a poll yesterday on Instagram asking if you guys would rather see Asher's birth story or if you'd rather hear 20 things or 20 facts about me, and the majority of you chose Asher's birth story. I found out I was pregnant on May 3rd of 2016, and I had a perfectly healthy pregnancy, not one complication throughout the whole 40 weeks and 6 days I was pregnant. Or Alex and I both went to my 40-week appointment, which I went at 40 weeks and 6 days. My doctor checked me, he took my blood pressure, and it was getting up there. It was kind of high for his liking, and it wasn't quite an emergency yet, but eventually, obviously, it would be. So he wanted to get that baby out in the next couple of days. So he went out of the office to do whatever, and then he came back and said, "How would you like to get this baby out tonight or tomorrow night?" Alex and I looked at each other like, are you crazy? Let's do it tonight. Like, we've been waiting for 10 months. We're not waiting another day. The minute the doctor suggested we do it tonight or tomorrow night was tunnel vision all the way home from the doctor's office, all the way to the hospital. It was insane. It was like literally living a dream. So my doctor suggested we have the baby tonight, and he wanted us to check in at the hospital at 7 o'clock, and at the time it was 3:30 or 4 o'clock, somewhere around there. And so, you know, when you're waiting for labor to happen, you're waiting for your water to break. It's like we were waiting for that this entire pregnancy, and it's like we still felt rushed. Like, we still felt like we had to rush to the hospital just like we would have if like my water broke or something. So that was interesting. That was feels like a lifetime ago, but I remember it just like it happened yesterday. It was literally the craziest thing I've ever been through ever. So we got to the hospital, we checked in, we were both shaking like crazy. I was still like blacked out. I was running on adrenaline and nervous as heck. I couldn't sit still. I didn't want to go to the hospital. I hate hospitals. So we checked in. The minute I walked into that hospital room, I wanted to turn around and go home. I was uncomfortable. I didn't want to get undressed, put a gown on. It was just the day I've been dreading for a long time. Obviously, I wasn't dreading having Asher. I wasn't dreading finally getting to hold him. Obviously, I was dreading the fact that I had to be in a hospital bed. I just hated it. I hated everything about it. I saw the tubes and the cords and the monitors. It was horrible. So that alone gave me really bad anxiety, and immediately had a panic attack. And I was like, Alex, I don't think I can do this. So fast forward, we got into the room. I did what the nurses told me to do. I undressed, I put the gown on, I laid down. They connected me to the monitor to monitor Asher. They hooked me up to an IV and all of that. Everything was fine. They induced me. They put Cytotec up in there, and we originally thought that I would have to be on Pitocin and go through basically 12 hours of trying to get my labor started, and literally 5 to 10 minutes after they put the Cytotec up in there, labor had started. I started getting intense contractions immediately, like to the point where I was like already ready for the epidural, but I knew that it was too early. I wasn't even dilated yet. So I told myself, okay, I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna feel it out. It's kind of cool to see how much pain your body can actually feel. Fast forward, I got the epidural at only 4 centimeters, and I heard that labor is 10 times worse when you're induced. And I believe it, because there are women out there who give birth naturally with no drugs. I don't know how you do it. Any more pain would have killed me. That's just honest. That's my honest opinion. That's the honest truth. I seriously think that any more pain would have killed me. And I was only at 4 centimeters. I couldn't imagine pushing his 8-pound body out of my body. Crazy, craziest thing ever. Anyway, so it was time for the epidural. And again, I told myself that I wanted to wait as long as possible. And when I found out I was only at 4 centimeters dilated, I was so upset. I cried like a baby, had tears running down my face. Poor Alex standing there helpless while the nurse was holding me and the pillow in front of me, because I had to like bend over like onto her, like hold her neck and the pillow, and like do a million things at one time while being in so much pain was nearly impossible. So I'm still crying. Alex is like in front of me, kind of over by the bench by the window, basically just helpless. And so that was a little heartbreaking. So I got the epidural, instant relief. I got the little button, so I was able to hit the button whenever I started to feel pain, and the pain would start to come back about every 2 to 3 hours, so it was doable. It would still feel like minor period cramps when I had the epidural. Like there was just a lot of pressure going on, but it was definitely tolerable for sure compared to the severe contractions before the epidural, or like while the epidural was wearing off. It was very intense. So the pain alone gave me PTSD. Like, I'm terrified of pain. I'm terrified. So I labored from about 9 p.m. until he was born. He was born 3 o'clock on the dot the next day. So that's a pretty long labor, not as long as I thought it was gonna be. I think it went pretty well, like no complications. The only little complication, which now that I think about it, it wasn't that little. It was actually kind of scary. Actually, it was really scary. It's just a part of that I've kind of blocked out of my mind since having him, because it's just a part of being in the hospital that I really can't have flashbacks to because it was so scary. I was laying on my side trying to take a nap. It was the middle of the night, probably like 3 or 4 a.m. And all of a sudden I wake up and there are 3 or 4, maybe 5 nurses ran full speed into my room, threw oxygen on my face, stuck a needle in my arm to stop my contractions. And I was speechless. I just let them do their job. I didn't fight it. I didn't do anything. They're trying to keep Asher safe, and I let them do their job. And so again, poor Alex is sitting on the couch, like he stands up immediately. I think he was dead asleep. He was finally able to fall asleep. So he sits up, like, what's going on? So the reason they put oxygen on my face and why they gave me a shot was to give me oxygen, obviously, and the shot was to stop my contractions because Asher's head was stuck for a while, and I guess his heart rate was getting really, really low. And as you guys know, the nurses monitor you all night, like the whole time you're at the hospital. So they're in a different room watching the baby and your monitor, the mom's monitor, the whole time you're in the hospital. So that's when they rushed in to throw oxygen on me and stuff. And then, so it worked, the shot worked, the oxygen helped. I was terrified. I was shaking from the epidural and the side attack and just everything. I was numb, I was scared. It was absolutely horrible. So I don't remember what time it was when Alex called his family and my family to let them know that Asher would be born soon. I just remember one of the family members telling me that it was like hours and hours and hours of waiting, just trying to be patient, waiting. And so it must have been a really long time. We thought that my labor was progressing enough to start pushing and stuff. So like, okay, family, like it's time to start heading over to the hospital to meet the baby, blah, blah, blah. And nothing was happening. I was stuck at 9 centimeters dilated for hours. And so we finally had to call my doctor in to break my water because nothing was happening. And I was this close this close to having a C-section because nothing was happening, and it's common. C-sections are common and they're normal, and you do what you have to do to keep your baby safe and healthy. But that was on my mind, and it was really scary. It was really, really, really scary. I can't even explain. It was an absolute nightmare. So eventually the family came and we all hung out. I was still numb from the epidural, which was awesome. And then it was time to push. I was finally at a 10. It was time to push. I pushed for 2 hours with my nurse. And then the nurse said, "Hey Alex, we can see Asher's hair. Would you like to come see it?" And he did, and he wishes he didn't. And he says it's just an image he would never get out of his head, ever. He said it's just, he regrets looking, basically. So that's pretty funny. I pushed for 2 hours. Once we were able to see his hair, they called my doctor in and said, "It's time to get this baby out. He's coming." It took my doctor like almost an hour or something crazy like that to even get there. So I was like trying to, like, I had to push. I was ready to push. So he got there just in time. I pushed 3 times and the baby was out. He was breathing, he cried. I don't remember anything after that. So Asher came out healthy, breathing, crying. His eyes were wide open. We did skin to skin for 2 or 3 hours. Alex cut the cord. Alex did skin to skin. This might be TMI, especially for the men out there. I don't know how many men are even watching this, but I did tear just a little bit, just enough for 1 or 2 stitches. And I'll get to this later, but that was the worst part of about my recovery. That was the most painful part about my recovery and healing. But anyway, we got into the recovery room. Again, I don't remember much other than holding Asher and nursing, and he latched on just fine. And I remember Alex's parents brought Chipotle, and I was just so shaky and just on just such an adrenaline rush that I had no appetite. I just wanted to hold and look at Asher and like touch his skin. It was just, it's crazy. Literally the craziest thing anybody will ever do in their lives. Like, I swear. He passed his hearing test. He passed all the other tests. He got a shot or something, and that was it. It was a very nice stay in the hospital, and everything went smoothly. I just remembered he did have a slight temperature or fever or whatever when he was born, so they didn't release us until his temperature went down. But I think it was only a degree or two too high to like allow us to leave the hospital or something. But that was fine. It went down as soon as I started nursing. The overall birth story went very smoothly. Again, the one complication was when the nurses had to come throw the oxygen mask on me and give me a shot to stop my contractions, because Asher's little head couldn't handle the contractions. So, and we left the hospital and everything was totally fine. I was still on an adrenaline rush. I hadn't slept or eaten anything in 48 hours. I don't know how I was even functioning, but I feel like all I did for the next few days was nurse. And then postpartum depression and anxiety hit me really hard, but that'll be for a next video because I could go on and on and on and on about that. So I won't bother you too much with those details because they're so fun. They're super exciting. So that's it. That was it for those of you who wanted to hear his story. So that's about it. Everything went smooth, no complications other than that one little thing. I can't believe it was 2 years ago that this happened. It feels like it just happened yesterday. Stay tuned for more videos. I have about 25 videos planned. I'm really excited. I hope I get good feedback on this video. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You know what to do. I'll see you next time. Bye!